You are listening to the Workbench After Hours podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to the Second Amendment, where we talk about firearms, everything that's going on in the gun community, and we even try a different whiskey every week. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about the Harley-Davidson dealership buying experience. I recently traded in my Sportster for a lowrider ST, and I found out that there are two types of Harley dealerships. So I'm going to tell you my experience with both of them and what you can expect if you're trying to buy a new Harley. And while we talk about all that, the whiskey of the week is Chattanooga 91 proof. Welcome to episode 78 of the Workbench After Hours podcast. Chris is here with me, and we're going to talk about the Harley-Davidson buying experience.
Ooh.
Yes, mine in particular. But before we get into that, Chris, what are we drinking this week?
Looks like we're trying a new whiskey, Chattanooga Whiskey, straight bourbon whiskey.
So believe it or not, I bought this in Chattanooga. I don't remember what I paid for it, but it wasn't that expensive because I wasn't dropping money on that trip.
Yeah. The only thing I'm kind of worried about is the mash bill, because it does say it has yellow corn, which we know we don't like usually.
Yep.
Malted rye, caramel malted barley, and honey malted barley. And it's fermented for 7 days.
Yep. Aged for greater than 2 years. That's all they give you.
Yeah, and they said the batch size, they usually take 8 to 12 barrels to make this batch. And they are in 53-gallon toasted and charred oak barrels.
Yep. This malt recipe is known as, or to their distillers, as Barrel 91. And that's why you see a 91 on there. 91 proof, obviously, but it was selected from the first 100 barrels produced at their experimental distillery. So I was looking on their website. They have the high rye malt whiskeys, and then they also have these experimental ones.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is. So it's kind of cool, though. But yeah, so it's made from 4 grains, including 3 specialty malts. High malt starts with that 7-day fermentation just to get the rich high malt character and the fruitiness out of it. And it's also aged in charred and toasted oak barrels.
Yep. And it's non-chilled, so for filtration.
Yep.
So we'll see.
So they age them for more than 2 years. So probably 2 years in a day?
Probably.
Yeah, they bring them together with almost 100 barrels into a 4,000-gallon charred white oak finishing barrel. Yeah, and then the batch size of this, like you said, is 8 to 12 barrels.
Yeah.
So we've been letting this sit in here for a minute. Tasting notes, anyway, should be butterscotch pudding, dried apricot, honeyed toast, and pound cake. So it sounds like it's going to be pretty sweet and fruity.
Yeah.
This is a relatively dark amber color.
It's definitely got a sweet smell to it.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting butterscotch. I still get that caramely.
Yeah, I get the caramel, but there's like a sweetness to it.
I wonder if that's
like
that
sugary or
wonder if that's the pound cake.
maybe.
Huh.
It does have a little burn on the nose too. Keep sniffing it.
Got the butterscotch and apricot right away. It's been a minute since I've had pound cake.
A lot of heat and spice on the back end.
You think?
I did, yeah.
I don't think the heat was too bad. It's spicy.
I'm getting the spice a lot on the back end.
Are you?
That's all I'm getting is spice.
I didn't have a whole lot of spice to me anyway.
Yeah.
I'll try it again, but let me get some spiciness on the tongue. It doesn't last quite as long as like that. What was that one that said had that really long lasting finish and it would like stayed on your tongue?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But I can't remember the name of it.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was like I just coated your whole palate.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's an easy drinker for sure. Mm-hmm. Like for me, I'm not getting that burn, but
I'm getting a little bit of it.
Maybe it's just because I drink too much whiskey.
Maybe.
So I'm used to it. But yeah, I'm not getting that. But it's basically pretty sweet and fruity with a little bit of spice on the back end.
Yeah. The back end, I'm getting nothing but spice. The front end is like your traditional, like caramel type of flavor. But that back end's definitely got a lot of spice and heat. And that could be because it is a rye too.
Could be.
Because ryes are usually have a lot more spice in them, it feels like. A little bit more heat.
Yeah. But luckily, because we were worried about that corn, yellow corn.
I don't taste any of that.
No. So I was worried. I've been putting this one off because of that after our experience with Bell Mead.
Yeah.
And that jukebox that were higher corn mashes.
Yep. I wonder if it's just like a real small. They don't give you the percentage, so I wonder if it's not like a crazy amount, you know?
Probably.
Because some of those other ones are like, what, 30, 40% mash bill of corn
Yeah.
we've had, and we're like, no.
Nope, but this one's definitely not bad.
I think this would be a good winter sipper.
Yeah. So that is Chattanooga Whiskey. I haven't seen it here. I don't know if you
I
have.
haven't seen it.
So, like I said, I found this in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I think I saw it also around like the Nashville area too. So it's down there. I know Chattanooga actually has quite a few distilleries
Yeah.
around there, and what I like is their liquor stores open at 8 a.m.
Really?
Yeah, because we were driving through, and we stopped. It was like midnight when we got to Chattanooga, and we were wanting to leave early so we could whiskey hunt a little bit in Nashville and have lunch. And I was like, man, I want to try some liquor stores here, but what time do we have to wait until?
Yeah.
Nope, they opened at 8 o'clock.
Don't have to wait long.
Nope, not at all. So different, but
Yeah. I'll be making that trip before too long.
yep,
Might have to stop.
you have to stop.
Well, I'm going to stop, but I'm debating because I think we're going to go like how we went down to Tennessee the first time to go down to Atlanta. But on the way back, I think we're going to stop through like Alabama and then come up through like Arkansas. So on the way down, I'm definitely going to be whiskey hunting.
There you go. Yeah, the more I drink it, neat. Butterscotch and apricot, really all I'm getting.
Yeah, I had a lot of spice on the back end. That's what I got. But I don't know. Who knows?
There you go.
I'm sure it'll go away with ice.
Yeah, definitely. And it is. I mean, that is a dark amber caramel looking color.
Yeah, the heat's gone.
Oh, it seems a little fruitier to me.
Yeah, it changed that palate a little bit too.
Mm-hmm. This, I would definitely say this would be a good entry level one if you can find it where you are, because it's not too in your face. There's not a whole lot going on, kind of like that Johnny Drum, but it's an easy drinker.
Yeah, it's definitely different in its own ways.
Yeah.
But I bet it'd be great with Manhattans.
Oh yeah, or like an old fashioned too.
Yeah, because of the rye.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So, talking about Harley-Davidson dealers, and from my experience recently when I bought if you haven't seen it on the YouTube channel, the 2023 Lowrider ST.
Yeah.
Finally traded in my Sportster Iron 883. And I just posted a video this week that going from the Sportster to the Softail platform, I mean, it's a night and day completely different experience.
I know you've been riding a lot more.
Yes. Well, because anytime you buy a new Harley Davidson, and probably the same thing with other brand motorcycles, is there's a 500-mile break-in period.
Yeah.
And you really have to take it easy. Basically stay with city driving. You want to vary the RPMs a bunch. I think within the first 50 or 100 miles, you don't want to go over 3,000 RPMs.
Yeah.
And then after that, you can go up to 3,500 RPMs in any gear. But the dealership said for the first 500 miles in that break-in period, don't go over 75. Because that's when you're about 6th gear, getting up to about 3,000 RPMs at that point. So I did some highway riding with it, and I stayed about 73.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I got to be safe. It's under 75.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's what I'm trying to do is get past that break-in period so then I can really open the throttle and
I think that's probably
highway.
more for like the clutch, I bet.
You think?
I think it's for that and getting that surface contact and that friction.
Yeah, there's the break-in period, and then you can ride it however you want to, and then the first 1,000 miles you have a 1,000-mile service where they go through and change all of the fluids in it. So it's like a break-in fluid that they put in.
Yep.
And just I guess break everything in.
Or break it.
Yeah.
Like your last one.
Kind of like my Sportster. The main seal apparently wasn't sealed properly from the manufacturer, so they say. And when they opened that up, they found a cracked piston.
Yeah.
On a bike that had less than 1,000 miles. I think I was just over.
I don't even think you're at 500 yet.
Yeah.
I think
I had just gotten
250, 300.
Yeah, and I was mad because it was perfect weather. It was like the perfect time of fall.
Yep.
And there's all the fall foliage, and the weather was nice. And then I had to take it in, and I didn't know how long that they would have it. Well, they had it for 3 freaking weeks.
Yep.
They kept saying, "Oh, well, we got to order the gasket." I'm like, okay. And then then they found the cracked piston and like, well, we got to order the parts. And I finally was like, man, give me a refund. Give me a different bike. And once I called and like threw a huge fit, guess what was done the next day?
Yep.
I'm like, I thought you guys said you had to wait for parts, but all of a sudden you have it done.
I don't think they like how you pulled the limit on them. Like,
yeah.
That's probably like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I was a dick. But I'm like, man, this is a brand new bike. I bought it to ride it before winter, and I can't.
Yeah.
It drove me nuts. So most of my riding time on the Sportster was in the winter.
Yeah. You got a little bit this spring.
I did.
But then you realized real quick that you wanted the bigger bike.
Yeah, and I was torn because I'm like, I really like the Sportster. However, it's uncomfortable. So there's a lot of stuff you have to upgrade. So I was going to, eventually upgrade the suspension and then the engine. You got to do the stage 1, stage 2 just to make it faster, because on my last video with that, I'm in 4th gear and I crank it wide open and then also shift into 5th, and it takes me forever to get up to 60 miles an hour.
Well, that's just a cruising bike, right?
Lowrider ST, it takes no time.
Probably like, oh, I need to relearn how to use this throttle a little bit.
So I was kind of adding up all the upgrades I'd have to do. Plus, I bought the freaking Memphis Shades Road Warrior fairing.
Yep.
And it didn't fit on the stock setup.
Yeah.
So, and then I went back and looked, and every bike that it had on, and even the one in the photos from like Revzilla and Memphis Shades, all have raised handlebars. So I'm like, okay, I want raised handlebars anyway, because I sat a little low. It was going to be almost $1,700 is the cheapest quote I got.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, yeah, right there. I mean, because what I paid for the bike plus that, say I did spend $1,600, 17, and then if you add the cost of the fairing and all the hardware for that and the seat I wanted, it's
Might
like
as well just go buy an
it's
upgrade.
like at that price, I could get a soft tail for that price altogether.
Yep.
So I did. Yeah. So that's I liked it. Like I said in that video, it was a good beginner bike. I'm glad I bought it. If I would do it over again, I probably wouldn't buy it new.
Probably just go soft tail.
No, I would have stuck with the iron, because it's the lack of power that it has and how small it is made it easier and more comfortable to learn on, because you don't have all that torque that's throwing you back, and you don't have this big massive bike to try and learn. So the fact that it was smaller, I really liked. Got my confidence up a little bit more, because when I was looking at the soft tails, I sat on the low riders and I'm like, oh my God, just because the gas tank was so much bigger. I'm like, how the hell does anybody do this?
How do you ride this
Right?
thing?
This is like huge. But once you get up and going, it's fine.
It's all about get going.
Yeah. Get that momentum going.
Yep.
Yeah. Because the Sportster was about 560 some pounds, full gas and stuff like that. I looked up the Lowrider ST and it's like 741 or something. So it's in the 700 pounds.
So 300 pound difference.
Yes. And when you're moving it around and, still, you kind of feel that weight. But once you get a little, like you're in that friction zone and you start rolling forward,
game over.
You don't feel that weight. It goes away and the bike just wants to stay up and just go.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But
dealerships.
Yes. So I found out that there are 2 types of Harley dealerships. There's one that primarily just sells for profit, which they all do, but they have a higher markup than the other ones. And then there's other ones that sell by volume. So they're going to sell you closer to MSRP because they just want to sell more bikes that way. Well, I found out the way to figure out if your dealer, which one is for, is if you look on the website, that dealership's website, if they don't have a price listed, especially on the new bikes, that is probably a for-profit dealer. The ones that have actual prices, even if it's just the MSRP that's listed on the website that they're kind of bringing over, at least they have a price listed on there. Those are your volume dealers. Because I was looking, I'm like, I want to know the price of these bikes. So you get on Harley's website and you look up the bike you want. It tells you MSRP, and then you got to factor in the surcharges and stuff like that, any upgrades. So then you kind of get an idea of what MSRP is on a bike. Well, if you go to a for-profit dealer and ask what the price on a bike is, they will not give you one.
This is what they're going to do. What would you like your payment to be?
They're like, oh, we'll work with you on the payments. And then I'm like, no, like I need to know kind of what it is. And then they'll say something crazy. Like I was torn between the Softail Street Bob, the Lowrider S, and then the Lowrider ST. Like I knew I wanted one of those 3 bikes. So I did a lot of research, knew what MSRP was, even with all the fees and stuff added on. And so I in my head with the Street Bob, I knew MSRP was upper teens.
Yeah.
So I asked him, like, what is this? He's like, oh, well, you know, mid 20s. I'm like, what? I'm like, on Harley's website, it's like 18.
Are you messing
MSRP.
with me? Are you funny?
With the fees.
Yeah.
And yeah. And then they're like, oh, well, we'll work with you on your monthly payment. That's what they focus on you on.
We'll give it to you this, so your payment will be this, but 84 months at this high interest rate, you won't even notice.
But the 4 volume dealers will actually tell you what the price of the bike is.
Which is nice.
Yeah. And they're not sugarcoating it. They're completely transparent with you, which I liked. So I didn't know that any of this going into trading it in, other than I knew what the MSRP was. So when I went in a few different times. I went to go test drive one time, and I realized I lost my driver's license and didn't know when or where or how. So I couldn't test drive, so I had to get it renewed. And so I went back and went to the same salesman. I'm like, got my driver's license. I want to test drive the Street Bob. And then I'm really torn between the Lowrider S and ST. And then this other manager guy comes over and is like, oh, well, the price difference is minimal. We'll work with you on the payment. It's really manageable. Okay, fine. So then I test drove both the Street Bob, which is fine. It was a great bike. But I felt like there'd be quite a bit more stuff I'd want to change on it. And then I would also outgrow it too. And the ST was just perfect.
Had everything you
like
wanted.
Once I drove that, I'm like, God, now I can't get any other bike.
Yep.
So got back and I'm like, I loved it. And then I'm like, I was ready. I brought my bike up there. Like I had my payoff stuff for the iron, and I was like ready to make a deal that day. And so they like, all right, let's get the paperwork going. Freaking, they don't tell you the price at all. They make you fill out the credit report, and then not the credit report, but the stuff for them to run your credit for their banks. And then right after you do that, the salesman is like, oh, I'm also going to sign you up for this Harley-Davidson credit card. I'm like, hell no, you aren't.
No.
The hell you are.
I need another.
Yeah, he's like, oh, well, you get, rewards for stuff that you buy here and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, not only are you running credit.
Now you're doubling it.
Yeah, and then you're also going to freaking add a credit card? No.
Nope.
No.
Mm-mm.
So that was a first red flag. Actually, probably second, because when I was looking at the bikes initially before we test drove them, I knew all the features, all the specs of these bikes. These guys
had no idea
what they were. They couldn't tell me what the gas tank was. And then they were talking like, well, yeah, it's, my Sportster has a much smaller tank, and they're like, well, we think it's like the 3.5 or something. I'm like, no, it's 3.3. And then they thought that the Street Bob had a 4-gallon tank, and it's 3.5. And like all these other like little specs and everything. It's like, you guys do this for a living. You should know all these specs.
It's like one of my biggest pet peeves with salespeople is them not knowing the product that they are selling. And like half the time you're the one going, no, you're wrong. It's this. Yeah. And they look at you like, no. It's like, yeah, I did my research. I know this.
And I mean, in that dealership, there's not a whole lot of different models. Like they're all pretty much kind of the same. It's like, it's not that hard. Like if I can figure it out, and I don't even do that for a job, like I feel like I'd be a better salesman for Harley than most of the guys at this particular dealership. So that was another red flag, is I knew way more about all of these bikes than any of these guys did, which drove me nuts. And then when I was like, I told the guy initially, I want to upgrade from the Sportster, want more power, more comfort. And I told him I was looking at the 3 Softails. Well, what does he do? He's like, oh, well, come here. Have you tried this one? And brings me over to the Heritage Classic, which is a Softail, but it's the classic look of a Harley. Like it's an old man looking bike, like the bike you see from the 60s. Like, was it comfortable? Sure. But it was not my style. I'm like, not my style. I'm like, what is this? And he was like, oh, upper 20s. I'm like, well, I know it's not that, even though I haven't looked at this, but it's not my style. But he kept trying to push that bike. I'm like, no, it's not it. Like, I want one of these three.
Yeah, trying to get that money.
Another flag there. I'm like trying to sell me a bike I know I don't want. Like, I know these three. Try and sell me the Lowrider ST, the more expensive one. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But after they do your credit and stuff like that, you got a guy that comes over,
sales manager,
completely different. Yeah, comes over, has this paperwork, and he's like, "Oh, we got a great deal for you. Great deal." He writes down an actual price of the bike, and then your terms, which are usually they push 84 months.
Yeah,
and then they write down your monthly payment. So the MSRP of a Lowrider ST is anywhere, depending on what options, say 25 to 27.
Yeah,
depending on the options and color. He wrote down 30,000 with a monthly payment of just shy of $800.
No,
and I'm like, for 84 months.
Jeez.
Well, and that same thing happened with my Sportster. They came back. They came initially with this ridiculous number. I'm like, no. So he goes back, talks to this guy behind the desk for a while, comes back, and is like, still the same price. And then he's like, we'll give you what you owe on the Sportster. And then it dropped to like low sevens. I'm like, I could go buy a brand new car and save money.
Yeah.
Like,
you could buy a nice car for that.
So I was there going back and forth with this guy for like 3 hours. So I wanted to make a deal. Like, I was there. I'm like, I want to take this bike home.
Yeah.
They would not come off $30,000 for the Lowrider ST. And then their best deal was $600 and something a month for 84 months.
Oh.
And then if you calculate that, I was like, I'm spending well in the 40s for this bike that's, about 25,000.
Yeah.
You are insane. And I told him that. And his response was, you don't think about that long-term thing. You think about the monthly payment and that you're paying it to have fun.
No.
I'm like, okay.
Should have been like, so are you a millionaire? Is that the reason why?
Uh-huh. And I ended up calling the next day to see if they would do another deal. And another guy was like, I'm not paying that because of longevity, I'm paying almost twice what this bike is worth.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, again, don't think about it that way. You're paying to have fun. And he's like, I bought a new truck and I don't think about how much I'm paying over the term. He's like, I'm focused on my monthly payment and I have that truck to have fun.
Like, I'm not here to have fun.
So you guys are not financial advisors. Or like, this is terrible financial because they focus you on that monthly payment.
Yep.
And they wouldn't even tell me I was like, all right, so you're calculating this somehow. What is the interest rate?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't tell you that. They tell you back there. I'm like, well, you have to know in order to get these figures.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what about all these other offers that you're offering? And he's like, well, you don't qualify, whatever. I'm like, well, I know my credit's really good.
Yeah.
And based on the stuff you offer, it was just
shady.
Yeah. The fact that they wouldn't tell me what the APR was.
Yeah.
And that I was going to pay double over the term. And I'm like, my payment right now is $220 and you want me to go up to $600?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, it's twice the bike.
Well,
so it should be twice the monthly payment. I'm like,
that happened with me with Honda. Like, I was sitting there talking to him about trading in my lease a little. Like, I'm right within that 1 year window. 6 months, you get technically traded in. And they're like, well, I looked at another Ridgeline, like the top of the line. They came back with a payment. And it was like $400 more. And I was like, no. They're like, well, this is the top of the line. That's more than what yours is. I was like, yeah, but I'm not paying that.
Right?
You're no. I was like, for that price, I can go get something a lot nicer.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, not pay that. I was like, you guys are going to turn around and sell my truck for well over $5-6 grand, what you're offering me. Oh, no, we're not. I was like, yes, you will. I already know. I know how this game works.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And I get it, but it's like, be transparent with me.
Yeah.
Tell me how you're getting these, what my interest rate is. If you want to charge what you charge, that is what it is. I could just not buy from you.
Yep.
So I ended up walking out. I'm like, you know what? And so I'm like, okay, I don't want this ST. I don't want to pay $30,000 for that. That's way over MSRP. Let's work on the Street Bob or the Lowrider S.
Yeah.
And they're like, same thing. You're looking at the best deal that they gave me on the Lowrider S, which is only should be $3,000 to $4,000 less. They were still wanting $600 a month or $550. I'm like, okay, well, what about the freaking Street Bob? Like the one I guess I will take. And they're like 25. And I'm like, that's an $18,000 bike. You want me to pay 25 for it with a high fours monthly payment?
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys are idiots. And then they had a used one. So they had a used Lowrider S for $16,000 because it was like their older model.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, $16,000. What would the monthly payment on that be? And he's like, upper fours. I'm like, for 84 months? Like, what the hell? Like, is my interest rate like 50%?
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. I'm like, at that point, I'm like, all right. I know I've had loans for that, and it's like $200 a month, maybe.
If that.
Yeah. And I'm like, you want me to pay double that over 84 months? I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to keep my Sportster, take it home, and just enjoy it. Like, I'm like, see you later.
Yeah.
So they called the next day, see if they would budge at all, and they weren't budging. And they're like, we're pulling everything we can. Like, we're doing stuff that we can't even do. I'm like, really? So I got on the website. There's 2 other dealerships here locally in the Kansas City metro area that are kind of the same way, don't have prices on their website. Well, there happens to be one in Wichita that actually had a price for a Lowrider ST. It had the MSRP that was same thing that was listed on Harley's website. So that same night I clicked on it, like, hey, give me a call. He called me at 9:00 the next morning, the guy from Harley. And I told him, I want to buy a Lowrider ST. Couldn't make a deal with this local dealer up here. I told him, I'm like, they wanted $30,000 and X monthly payment. And he laughed. He's like, wow. He's like, let me call you back in a little bit. We're going to smoke that deal. So after some back and forth, and he was completely transparent. He's like, we're going to sell you the bike for this amount. And it was MSRP. We're going to give you what you owe on the bike, or actually more than what I owe on the bike, what I actually paid for it last year. So I made a little bit of money on that bike. And then he's like, you had a really good credit rating, so you actually qualify for the lower percentage rates and a couple extra deals. I'm like, oh, really? You don't say. Because the other dealership, one wouldn't tell me what the APR was, and they were questioning whether or not I qualified for that.
Yeah.
And so basically, and then he told me, he's like, there's 2 types of dealers. There's the for-profit, and there's ones like us that are by volume. We try to sell a bunch of bikes and
keep the prices low.
We take care of our customers because we want, repeat customers, because you got people upgrading and stuff like that. Like, we want to keep your business. And the cool thing is he's like, hey, if we make this deal, I know you live 2.5 hours away, basically. You have to come and sign the paperwork. But he's like, we will deliver the bike to your house, take your old one away for you for free. I'm like, okay. Awesome. So I went down there, and they already had the paperwork drawn up and stuff like that. And it was a way better experience. Like, the salesman was cool. Even the sales manager, they were all, it was much better. And then anytime you buy a bike from a Harley dealership while they're finishing up the paperwork, they take you to, the merchandise department. You meet the lady working over there. You pick out a free shirt. Then they take you over to parts. You meet parts. They tell you how everything works. You go back to service. They tell you about the service. And so you kind of go to every different. And the people at this dealership were just way nicer and seemed like they cared more than the one up here.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I wish I kind of lived in Wichita, or you guys were closer to me.
Yeah.
So that was a much better, easier buying experience. And the fact that they were transparent and told me, this is what we want for the bike. This is your APR that you qualify for, and we're going to help you. And, they weren't pushing focus on the monthly payment. They're like, yeah, like we understand, you can do 72 months. Here's your option. Here's your option with 84.
Yeah.
Trying to work with me on the monthly payment still, but they're also looking at the long picture too.
Yeah. They're also giving you interest rates, so you're like well aware that you're not getting ripped off. And
yes. I'm like,
more.
So I'm wondering, how screwed did I get when I bought that Sportster?
Yeah. You probably could have got a better deal down there.
Yeah.
But would you want to ride that? Well, they deliver for you. So.
Yeah. So not only, so I bought from them down in Wichita, and so they're going to do, they brought it up. It was like a week later, and took my old bike. Easy peasy. Took no time for them to do that. And anytime that bike needs service or anything done to it, they will schedule and come up, pick up that bike, take it back to their dealership, do whatever needs to be done, and drive it back up here and drop it off for free.
That is amazing.
I'm like, you guys really do that? He's like, yeah, if you buy from us, no matter where you are, we like to take care of you. And he says they do that all over. Like they go to Nebraska and like all these places. I mean, there's some places that they're like, but for the most part, like
if you're in the 4-state region, probably.
Mm-hmm, they do that. I'm like, that's awesome.
That's amazing.
I mean, it sucks because I got to wait 2 extra days for the.
Yeah.
But shit, it's been a way better experience with you guys.
Yeah. Just take my money.
Yes.
I will pay you.
So if you guys have worked or gone up to a Harley dealership, let me know what in the comments what your experience has been. If you got a good deal, didn't get a deal. So if you're looking for a new Harley or any Harley, and the dealership doesn't have, it says, oh, call or request more information for a price.
Yeah.
Move on. Go to a dealership that has a price listed on the website.
Yeah.
Or if you call in, they'll at least tell you a price and not an outrageous ballpark number, and that they're going to work with you on your monthly payment.
You would think with them being in the Kansas City area, out of the 3 dealerships, like one of them would be a volume based.
You would think.
You would think.
But they're not.
Just because you would steal all the clientele that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do. It's like playing chess.
And I've been to the other 2 dealerships in this area. They are much nicer than the one here.
Yeah.
The one up by the airport has like this huge outdoor area where they have like a concert venue set up, and they have I guess you could call it a concession stand outside with this kind of next door to that. And you can go up there anytime during the day and order food and hang out and whatever. And I'm like, this is cool. I wish this was in Olathe.
Yeah.
Even though it's a for-profit dealer. I mean, like I'd come here all the time just to hang out. Their dealership by us, I mean, they have some events, but they suck. Like,
yeah, every once in a while you drive by and there's a bunch of people there, but it's rare.
Yeah, you got a table and a couple girls in bathing suits that really aren't that hot, handing out hot dogs and beer. I'm like, okay, well, cool, but yeah. I'd rather go to the dealership that has a freaking concert hall and hang out there.
Yep.
The one in Wichita was much nicer too. They didn't have the concert hall, but they much nicer setup. So yeah, that's my experience. But I'm really glad I got that bike. I love that thing. It is.
You've been riding everywhere.
Every time I look down, I'm like, oh crap, I'm speeding, and I don't even realize it. Like I would feel 60 miles per hour on the Sportster. Like I was like, oh my god, like I feel like I'm going 60. This bike, I feel like I'm not going 60. It's crazy. The fairing helps, obviously, and then it's really nice having those bags. When I was first looking at Harleys, I'm like, I don't want a bagger. I don't ever want a bagger. Like, those are ridiculous. Now I get it. So they're actually doing the stupid dealer up here by us is actually doing a demo day. A lot of dealerships do this. Harleys everywhere do it. Indian recently just did one at the Indian dealership by us because I was riding an errand and I was stopped, and all of a sudden this big group of motorcyclists went by me, and then I pulled up next to them and they all had Indians. I'm like, that's an Indian demo ride. And I looked up on the website, and the Indian truck was there, and they were and you basically go up there, you sign up, and you can just demo
any of their
new bikes for free, and it's kind of cool. So Harley does that too. I haven't been to one up here locally, so I signed up to do it up here. So we'll see if I actually get to do it with a stupid dealer.
Yeah.
I signed up to ride the Road Glide Special, which is the touring bike.
Ooh.
Yes. I just hope I don't regret it. But honestly, the Lowrider ST is, yes, it's heavy, but it's much less than a touring bike.
Yeah.
So around town, it's going to be easier to maneuver and just more comfortable to ride than a 900+ pound bike with.
I bet it's nice for long distance rides.
Oh yeah, I mean you get that touring bike. That's what they're built for.
Yeah, they're made for the road.
But I don't have any friends like this guy over here that will go touring with me anywhere. So I don't want to go by myself.
I don't know. It would take a lot for me to get a bike.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't need that because I don't have anybody. It's fun to ride around.
I keep thinking about, 98.9, they've got that Win Street. And
the Street Glide?
Yeah. And I've been really tempted to call in.
Well, I mean.
And I was like, but my luck would be I'd win it and then couldn't ride it and look like an idiot. And then someone would have to go to Sturgis for me.
Or in the meantime, when you win it, go get your horse done. And I'll ride it for you.
I'm sure you would. So
if the Street Glide and the Road Glide are pretty much your two popular touring bikes. I prefer the Road Glide because it's like my Lowrider ST where the fairing is fixed to the frame, so it stays put and doesn't move, and it just looks better. The Road Glides are okay, but I don't know. I just like the look of the Road Glides over the Street Glides, personally.
It'll be interesting. I've been like, oh, should I call in? Should I call in?
What's going to suck is I'm going to love that thing and be like, well, shit.
Should I got the other one?
Let me call up Wichita and be like, hey.
Time to trade a bike in.
I don't want a new one because I know those are really expensive. What can we do on a used Road Glide Special?
At least you still got a black bike and it looks good.
Oh, yeah. And that's, man, I was really considering the Street Bob because it was obviously cheaper.
Yeah.
But the graphics, I did not like the graphics.
And I noticed you already changed out to your smoke lenses on your turn signals.
Yes, did. But I really like the black denim paint on the Sportster.
That was, oh man.
But I like as much, I like gloss. I don't have anything against gloss black, but I like the bronze accents that they did on the wheels and some of the logos. So I really like the look of this Lowrider ST.
Yeah, it looks good.
Mm-hmm. Ride's good.
Yep.
Just can't wait. I got 476 miles on it, so I'm almost there. And then I just want to take it because I took it to Lewisburg the other day on a back road.
Yeah.
It got pretty uncomfortable because it was a really bumpy road.
Yeah.
But if I take 69 highway, perfect. I put a bigger windshield on it yesterday. And
it's no time to get down there.
So I want to actually ride it down to Pittsburgh here pretty soon.
Ooh.
Just stretch her legs and
a little Saturday cruise.
Yeah, because it's 80, you could go 85, 90 the whole way there.
Yeah, pretty much.
No traffic.
Yeah, because I think the speed limit's 80. And it's pretty much 2-lane all the way down now. I think just outside Frontenac they're doing that last little stretch.
So yeah, I'm like, anytime I'm getting on the highway, I've gone on 69, staying away from I-35.
Yeah. And
just driving south because riding around in traffic sucks on a motorcycle if you haven't done that, especially a heavier one. But it's just the stop and go. It's like, man, no, I just want to go. The Lowrider ST has cruise control, which is freaking awesome. Never thought I'd want that on the bike, but it's worth it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Take your hand off that throttle, let it rest, stretch a little bit. That way you're not going up and down. I use it all the time. So I prefer driving outside the city in the country kind of thing. The bugs suck, but I think this higher windshield is going to help with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of bugs.
I had to take it on a short gravel road when I went to Lewisburg Cider Mill.
Yeah.
That was a little sketchy. I was like, oh, God.
No.
Bikes, these kind of bikes and gravel don't mix well. But it was all right. So, yeah, I took Metcalf all the way to Lewisburg.
You can go all the way down to Paola from Spring Hill.
I need to find some.
There's a back road. I'll show you.
Yeah, I just need to find some cooler places to go ride now.
Yeah.
And
I know a bunch of back roads.
Yeah. Like highways are fine now.
Yeah.
I'd prefer not I-35,
Yeah.
but
Because you can get down to Paola. It's about 10, 15 minutes south of Spring Hill. But there's a back road you could take, and then you could, like, there's a roundabout area, and there's 5 different ways you can go. One will take you to Ottawa. One will take you to Lewisburg, Spring Hill. And yeah, it's crazy.
what sucks about where we live is it's straight roads. For the most part, you'll get some curves.
Yeah.
No good twisties. Like if you have a bike, especially a sport touring bike like I have,
California would be fun.
you want
for
to do some nice little twisties. Going straight's okay, but it gets boring after a while.
You go to the Tail of the Dragon in Tennessee.
I would love to go do that, but I don't have anybody to do it with.
I'd take the car. I wouldn't take a bike.
So I'll be on the back of the following you on my bike.
No, I'll let you go.
God.
I'll let you lead.
You know, you can rent bikes. You didn't message me back when I said this, but I'm like, you need to get your endorsement. Like, just go take the course
Yeah.
and get your endorsement. So that way, okay, so don't buy a bike. But if there's like ever a demo day that Harley or Indian does, take advantage and go ride a bike for free. Check it out. You could rent a bike. Like if we decide we go somewhere or just around town, like you don't want to buy one, but you want to rent one for a day or two.
Yeah.
Do that.
I don't know.
Just saying, it doesn't hurt to have it, because then that way, when you're taking the course, you can decide if you like it or not.
Yeah, true.
You can go to JUCO where it's not through Harley.
Yeah, that's probably what I'd probably do that.
Yeah, you should do that. Comment down below, Chris. Get your endorsement.
Yeah,
It's not that expensive, and then you have it, and it stays on. Like once you have it forever.
Yeah, I don't know.
What are you talking about? And then if for whatever reason you were to win a bike, you can then drive it. If you were to ever decide you want to buy a used bike from somebody down the road, you can test drive it and ride it home.
Yeah,
legally. Just saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not pushing you to buy a bike. I am, but I'm not. just get because it would be fun to go up to these demo days with somebody.
Yeah.
And I mean, why not demo a new bike?
Yeah.
It's free.
True. They do that.
You're gonna want it afterwards, but
that's the problem. That's what the whole demo thing is, to try to get you to buy it.
Mm-hmm. But it's fun. Be like, no, I don't want it.
I'm content with my cars.
I'm excited to ride the Road Glide. That's one I've been like, man, if I were to ever get a touring bike, it'd be the Road Glide. Just awesome. But like, I don't need the infotainment center. Yes, a radio would be nice. I think. I don't know.
Maybe on the highway.
I could put a radio on mine. It's Bluetooth. So you get, there's a spot in the fairing where you can put
speakers and
Bluetooth speakers. But I'm like, I put wireless earbuds in anyway. I just listen to it that way and have my phone. I don't know. On the highway, I heard it kind of is hard to hear. So it's more for in town. But with the touring bikes, you get the infotainment center, so you get all these gauges and the GPS and stuff. It's like, well, I got all that shit on my phone. I don't really need that.
Yeah.
The one good thing is like the storage is there's like cubby holes and stuff to put like stuff.
So like your wallet or whatnot.
Mm-hmm. I bought a little handlebar bag for mine to put my wallet and stuff in, but so they're not in the bags. But I could see the appeal of a touring bike if I just had somebody to tour with.
Hit.
Yes.
I don't know.
Because you buy a used one for not.
No, I know.
I mean,
I've
they're not
seen a lot
cheap,
of,
but
yeah.
Hell, if you bought a Sportster, you can buy it for pretty cheap used.
Yeah.
But don't buy a Sportster because you're going to want to upgrade it.
I don't know if my back can take that anymore.
Yeah. No,
I've been
you
having
want
a lot of back issues lately. So
yeah, the suspension is on this bike is just way better. Like even if you hit big bumps, it's like doing it in a car.
Yeah.
Versus on the Sportster, it's like, oh my God. One, I felt like I was going to fly off the back of the bike. Two, it's like, oh, my back is killing me.
Yeah.
This, nothing.
I've been finding out my age real quick lately with my back.
So maybe you would actually go good with the Heritage Classic. Old man on an old man looking bike.
Nope.
I've actually heard that is like a really comfortable bike, but I just don't like the look of it.
Yeah, that's my thing. I'm all about aesthetics and how it looks.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you like that classic Harley look,
yeah,
Okay, that's your bike.
It's hard for me.
But the problem is it's not good. It's like it's okay at in city and it's okay at touring, but it's not great at either or.
Yeah. See, I want something that looks like a cafe racer.
You say that,
They look so good.
but they're going to be so uncomfortable. Like you complain about this comfort thing.
Yeah.
Those cafe racers aren't built for comfort.
I know.
They're built for the look,
About going around those turns.
which we don't have.
We got a couple. You just got to go find them.
Yeah. So you got to drive a distance just to go around a couple curves.
There's roads out there off Mission that are real twisty turny.
Yeah, Jacob had mentioned something about some good roads around Hillsdale, but I looked on Google Maps and it doesn't.
There's a little bit.
Hmm.
There used to be some south of Olathe going into Gardner.
I need to find some.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's go touring.
I would love to if you would just buy a bike, or at least get your at least just get your endorsement.
I don't know. We'll see.
You don't have to buy a bike. Just get the endorsement. That way, say we go to Tennessee, you can rent a bike, and we go do the Tail of the Dragon, and then you just return the bike. It's not yours. How fun would that be? That way you don't have to ride
unless
it.
something happens on the Tail of the Dragon.
That's what insurance is for. It's like renting a car. It's not any different.
Yeah, true. But
Same thing.
I know the Tail of the Dragon is really dangerous. I've seen a lot of YouTubers.
Well, that's because people go too fast around these corners.
Yeah, the one I was watching, I felt bad for the guy because he was in his Porsche, really nice. They're just doing a cruise in a truck. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. They were going too fast, and then they didn't make the turn. They just kept going straight, and they went right into his nice Porsche and totaled it.
Yeah, you gotta really watch. There's so many other places like that to do. Like it'd be really cool to go around Yellowstone.
That or Pikes Peak.
No,
going up it.
Nope. I don't like going up Pikes Peak when I'm not driving in a vehicle, let alone on a freaking Nope.
Why not?
I don't like heights, so
yeah, but that's a different type of height.
Nope. I've been up there driving.
I've been up there too on a train.
Nope. Couldn't get me to do it because literally you have to go super slow. And then once you get to the top, there's nothing like you look down, like it's these really tight turns and you're looking down, I don't know, 10,000 feet.
Yeah.
Nope.
They do races up there.
Yeah, no, not for me. No, my dad drove up. I was a passenger and I literally had to not look out the window.
Are you white knuckling it the entire time?
No, I wasn't. My dad was driving.
I know, but were you white knuckling it?
I was like, can't look out the window. Don't look out because if you look, and my dad's driving with one hand, with spitting out sunflower seeds, looking over, and my sister's like, yeah. I'm like, you guys are freaking nuts. Like literally, if anything happened, it would take nothing for us to fall to our death. So, and I've seen actually, I follow some moto vloggers that do going up mountains. It was not necessarily Pikes Peak, but some other ones. And the older bikes, especially the carbureted ones, have issues, especially the higher you get.
Because altitude and everything. Mm-hmm. They don't have this ECUs to help.
Yep. And basically on the way down, you just stay in first gear. And but nope, not for me.
Going through West Virginia, they got a crazy mountain, but it's a toll road. But I love that road. On the way to Norfolk, that was like my favorite spot because I could always take off like an hour and a half.
Riding the Pacific Highway, if California traffic wasn't so terrible, the Pacific Highway would be really cool on a bike. Now, granted, there's drop-offs, but you still get a cool view.
I think it would be fun to actually do the Route 66 one day. Old Route 66.
Yeah.
But a lot of the roads now are gone.
Mm-hmm. And all the cool towns and attractions aren't there.
Yeah.
Because when we lived in Pittsburgh, I used to go to Baxter Springs all the time or drive through Baxter Springs, which was the big Route 66. And then it's like, all right, cool. There's
only 6 miles of Kansas for Route 66.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. Like we were driving to California, I saw bits and pieces of it. Like there's still cool little ones off that I saw. I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. But I watched like a documentary on it and it's kind of sad. I was like, man, that'd be so cool just to do.
All right, let's all talk Chris into at least getting his endorsement. That's all you got to do. It's all you have to do. Go to JUCO.
Yeah.
Learn how to ride a bike to see if you would even like it.
I think I know I'd like it, but
What sucks about the MSF course is you really never get above 30 gear.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to teach you how to handle it at slow speed, which is the difficult part. But
I wonder how hard it would be just to go do like a driving test for it without doing like the courses.
I mean, you can, but have you ever ridden a motorcycle?
I've ridden a dirt bike.
Completely different.
Still had a shift and everything.
Yeah. So
That's the hardest part, stopping and going.
not only that, but you got to do the written test.
Yeah. Or if you could study that, they got that online, just like your driver's
But
license.
if you do it through the MSF course, you're going to pass no matter what.
Yeah.
And then all you got to do is bring your certificate up to, I mean, you could try, but they're going to have you do these tight U-turns and then like all this stuff. Like you're going to have to do it and not fail.
Yeah. I don't know. I might look into both.
But the MSF course is nice because it teaches you how to safely do stuff
yeah.
that you don't think about. Kind of like the concealed carry course.
Yeah.
Because a dirt bike, yeah, you know, you're riding that probably not on roads.
I was.
Yeah.
I was riding it on the roads and it didn't have brakes, so you had to learn to downshift.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
And it's a 2-stroke, so it's a little bit different.
Well, hopefully episode 79, we're going to be like, Chris has decided to take the MSF course.
We'll see about that. I don't know.
Take it at Juco.
I don't know. We'll see
What is there to see?
what the future
Why not?
holds.
Why not? Life is short. Why not?
Because I'd rather get other stuff done first.
It takes a day. Actually, it takes a weekend,
Yeah.
but still.
That's a
It takes
weekend.
a weekend.
Yeah,
But you
these
get to do cool stuff.
Yeah. These
You get to ride motorcycles.
Yeah, these next months, couple of months, though, I'm really busy on the weekends because I'm on call and whatnot. So I'd have to probably wait till fall to do it.
That's where they get busy.
Yeah.
Just saying, sign up now for fall.
Yeah, we'll see.
Ha. Well, this whiskey wasn't terrible. It was actually pretty good. Pretty
It's
easy
not
drinker.
bad. Yeah.
For us, I feel like a little more complex
Yeah.
stuff, but pretty good if you can find it.
Yeah.
Yep. So cool. Well, let us know again if you guys have bought from Harley or tried to buy from Harley, what your experience was down in the comments, which bike you have.
What horror stories do you have for us?
Yeah. Anything.
Or even little pointers. That might help, even if it doesn't pertain to motorcycle buying, but maybe like car purchasing. Because a lot of them go hand in hand together.
Pretty much.
So,
yeah. Cool. Well, again, episode 79, Chris will have his decision on a motorcycle endorsement.
we'll see about that.
Yep. So, cool. Well, Chris, I think you have to tell us a few things.
Oh, yeah. Remember, this is a YouTube podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and tickle that bell. If you're listening on any other platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, or whatever listening device you like listening to, remember to follow us. With that, ladies and gentlemen, have a good one.